The knock didn't wait. 3 times, hard, not desperate, not friendly. She opened the door slowly, holding her breath. The woman on the porch stood like a statue. One boot was torn, face dirty, eyes wild. In her arms, something wrapped tight in a quilt. The edge of it dripped. Red. The older woman stared at the bundle, then at her. "You need help?" The stranger said nothing, just rocked slightly, arms braced tight like she'd fall apart if she let go. "Is it alive?" A breath, a nod. The baby shifted under the quilt. No cry, no sound. "You come from town?" Another nod, then a pause, a whisper. "Not far enough." The woman stepped aside. "Come in." The stranger entered without a thank you. She walked straight to the hearth like she'd been there before. Sat down cross-legged. The baby still didn't cry. "Quilt's bleeding," the woman said. The stranger didn't answer. She just held the child closer, eyes fixed on the unlit fire. "I got clothes. You want to change her?" "She doesn't cry." "Is that normal?" "No." The woman moved toward the basin, poured warm water, laid out a towel. "You want me to help? I can." "She doesn't like hands." "You feed her?" The stranger shrugged. "She won't take mine." The woman crouched down. "May I try?" A long silence. Then the stranger loosened the quilt just enough to show a small face, pale, eyes closed. The woman reached for the bottle near the stove, warmed it, sat beside her. The stranger flinched when their hands brushed. "You got a name?" "No." "That baby's name or yours?" "Both." They sat in silence while the baby sucked slowly, weakly. The fire stayed cold. "You running?" "Yes." "From what?" "Can't say." "Won't or shouldn't?" "Both." The woman nodded like she understood. She didn't, but something in the stranger's face made understanding feel secondary. "You hurt?" "No." "Baby hurt?" "Maybe." "Whose blood's that then?" A stranger looked down at the quilt. "Does it matter?" The woman didn't answer. She stood, went to the cabinet, and brought down a jar. Opened the lid. "Soup. You'll eat?" The stranger shook her head. "Only if she does." "She can't eat soup." "Then neither do I." The woman watched her. "You have a family?" "Not anymore." "Town sheriff see you leave?" Stranger's grip tightened. He saw. Didn't stop. "Why?" "Because I didn't stop him either." The woman sat back down. "You want to sleep?" The stranger didn't move. "Don't close your door." "I won't." "I mean it." "I know." The fire still wasn't lit. "She's cold," the woman said. "I know. She needs warmth." "I don't light fires." "Why?" "They come when they see smoke." "Who's they?" The stranger didn't answer. The baby whimpered, a small sound barely there. "She spoke," the woman whispered. "She remembers." "Remember what?" "The smoke." The woman looked at the door, still open. The wind blew softly through it. "You want it open? It stays open." The stranger nodded. They sat quiet again. The woman placed the jar of soup near her feet. "If you sleep, I'll watch her." "No." "You trust me enough to come inside." "Didn't say I trust you." "Why did you come then?" Stranger didn't blink. "You were the last door." "Last?" "The rest were shut." "Who told you mine would be open?" The stranger looked toward the baby. "She did." The woman stared hard. "That baby talked." The stranger didn't smile. "She doesn't need to." "You're not right." "No." "But you're here." "Yes." The woman stood again, took a fresh cloth, handed it over. "Quilt soaked through. You'll need this." "She'll scream." "Maybe she needs to." The stranger looked down. "What if she doesn't stop?" "Then we won't stop either." Slowly she unwrapped the quilt. Red everywhere, deep, dry in places, still wet in others. The baby's clothes were stained. Her skin is pale but unbroken. No wound, no cut. "What bled?" the woman asked. The stranger pressed the quilt to her face, breathed it in. "Memory. That ain't how it works. It is when the stitches know." "You sewed it?" The stranger nodded. "Why with blood?" "Didn't start with blood. It ended that way." The woman took the baby in her arms, careful, slow. The baby didn't flinch. "She likes you," the stranger said. "Number. She needs me." The woman rocked gently. The baby's eyes opened. brown, deep. She blinked once, then closed them again. "She'll sleep now," the stranger said. The woman looked at her. "You too?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I stitched the name into that quilt." "What name?" "Yours." The woman didn't speak, just held the baby tighter. The wind moved the door. The fire stayed dark. Neither one of them looked outside. The baby didn't make a sound all night, not once. The woman sat at the edge of the bed, the quilt folded in half at her feet. She didn't touch it. The stranger hadn't slept, just sat on the floor, arms around her knees, rocking slowly. "Is she always that quiet?" "Yes." "Since when?" "Since the barn." "What barn?" The stranger didn't answer. The woman reached for the bottle, warmed it again, held it to the baby's lips. "Come on now." Nothing. No suck. No shift. Just the rise and fall of her breath. "She's breathing." "Barely." "Does she need a doctor?" "Too late for that." The woman looked over. "You sure?" "She doesn't need medicine." "Then what?" The stranger's voice came soft. "Memory." The baby's eyes fluttered but didn't open. "She ain't slept. She's hiding." The woman sat back, bottle untouched in her lap. "Babies cry. It's how they stay alive. This ain't right." "She doesn't cry." "I see that." "No, I mean, she won't cry." "You do something to her." "No." "Then someone did." The stranger didn't nod, didn't move, just rocked. The woman stood, walking to the basin. "Well, I don't let babies starve, and I sure as hell don't let 'em vanish in my arms." "She's not yours." "She ain't yours either." The stranger's hands twitched. Her eyes didn't. "She's someone's." The woman turned. "She's mine for now, and I don't let mine slip away without a fight." She dipped the cloth in warm water, wrung it, pressed it gently to the baby's forehead. "You know her name." The stranger didn't blink. "I know all of them." "What's that mean?" She started to whisper. A list, names rolling off her tongue in no order. Leanne, Martha, Elspeth, June, Clara, Mercy. The woman froze. "Those names mean something to you?" "They mean everything to her." The woman shook her head. "That baby ain't even a month old." "She remembers more than you think. She's a child. She's not the first." The baby's fingers curled slightly. "Why are you whispering those names?" "To keep her still." "She still doesn't need to. She needs to wake up." The stranger looked up. "If she cries, it starts again." "What starts?" The stranger's lip trembled. "The fire, the pulling, the dark in the corner." The woman stared at her. "You talk like you see ghosts." "I held them." "Who were they?" "My sisters." The woman sank into the chair, eyes narrowing. "You were part of something." "We were something." The baby stirred again. This time her foot kicked under the blanket. The woman leaned in. "There you go. Come on. She hears you." "She better. I'm not going to whisper her into some silence she didn't ask for." The stranger didn't speak. "She got a father." "No." "Dead." "Gone." "Same thing around here." The baby opened her mouth. No sound. Just breathe. The woman placed the bottle again. This time the lips twitched. A weak pull. Just one. "There." The stranger's arms wrapped tighter around her knees. "She didn't do that before." The woman rocked her gently. "You didn't give her a reason to." "She doesn't trust me." "Would you?" The stranger's jaw tightened. "Does she trust you?" "Not yet." "She'll remember your voice now." The woman kept rocking. The bottle moved slightly, the baby pulling again. "She's hungry," she said. "She always was." "She didn't cry for it. Number she never will." "Why not?" "Because no one ever came when we did." The woman stared at her. "You said we." "I said what I meant." "She has others like her?" "She was the others." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I got." The woman didn't argue, just shifted the baby, who now twitched in her arms. A sigh came out of the child's mouth. Not a cry, but not silence either. "She's waking up. She's remembering. She's not yours. She never asked to be." "Then why'd you bring her here?" "Because she knew this door would open." The woman looked toward it, still unlatched, still swinging just slightly in the wind. "She led me here," the stranger said. "She doesn't speak." "She doesn't have to." The woman stood. "You tell me why you came here, really." "I didn't come to stay." "Then what?" "To hand her off." "To who?" The stranger looked up, voice suddenly steady. to the one who'd stay when she wouldn't cry. The woman didn't move. You picked me. She did. You stitched my name in that quilt. Yes. The baby whimpered again, louder. She's crying. The woman said. No. The stranger whispered. She's mourning. The wind pushed the door open wide. The woman didn't close it. She just held the baby tighter, and the baby cried without shame. She stood on the porch just after sunup, baby swaddled tight, barely heavier than yesterday. The stranger hadn't left the floor all night, knees hugged to her chest, eyes half closed like sleep meant something she couldn't afford. Hooves cracked the dirt before they saw him. The woman didn't flinch. It just rocked slowly. The baby stared at nothing, jaw slack. The sheriff didn't wave, didn't nod, just rode past, slow, and pulled low. You know him? The woman didn't answer. Did he see her? He saw. Why didn't he stop? He's waiting. For what? For me to give her up. The stranger stood, knees popping. He won't ask? He won't need to. The horse stopped 20 yards down, turned once. The sheriff looked back, eyes narrow, jaw tight. Then he rode on. The woman stepped back inside, shut the door behind her. That man knows something. Everyone out here does. He looked at her. He looked at me. The woman laid the baby in the bassinet by the hearth, fire still unlit. She hadn't touched it in 2 days. You light that, the stranger said. He'll come back. He'll come back either way. Why? Because that's what men like him do. The stranger sat down again, closer this time, closer to the baby. Her voice shook. You think he's the one? The one who what? Hurt her. She ain't got wounds. She doesn't cry. The woman turned her face. He's not the first man I've had to lie to. Won't be the last. They didn't speak again until dark. That night, the wind dropped still. No animals, no creaking of trees, just a faint tap, tap, tap from outside the wall. The woman froze mid-step, ladle in hand. The stranger pressed her back to the wall. The tapping didn't rush, didn't panic. It was deliberate. 3 taps. Pause. 3 more. Metal on wood. She reached for the rifle by the door. Didn't lift it. Just hold it. The baby didn't stir. Stay with her. The woman whispered. I'm coming with you. No. I don't trust that silence. I do. She stepped out barefoot, rifle low, eyes scanning the porch. Nothing. The tapping had stopped. She walked the perimeter slowly, one side of the house, then the other. When she got to the north wall, she saw it. 1 nail, fresh, driven just above the baseboard right below the kitchen window, and under it, paper. She pulled it loose. It wasn't folded, just torn rough along the edges. The handwriting was jagged, all uppercase, ink smeared like someone wrote fast, hard. You took what ain't yours. She won't stay quiet forever. No name, no mark. She stood there, note in one hand, rifle in the other. The wind picked up again, soft, not enough to move anything that wasn't already broken. Inside, the stranger waited at the door. What was it? A message? From him? Don't say. Then who? The woman stepped past her, set the rifle back down. Someone watching. He knew she wouldn't cry forever. She cried once. Not enough. She will cry again. Then what? The woman looked at the paper again, read it twice. He'll come back. You gonna be ready? I already was. She didn't tack the note up, didn't burn it, just folded it once, slid it into the drawer next to the silver. The baby whimpered in her sleep. A whimper, not a cry. She heard it, the stranger said. Heard what? The nail. The woman stared hard. You sure? She remembers metal. What kind? Sharp. She's just a baby. She's a witness. They didn't light a lamp that night. They sat in the dark, a stranger near the door, a woman near the baby, a rifle laid flat across her knees. She's safer here, the stranger whispered. She's not safe yet. Then why haven't I left? The woman didn't answer. Outside, the wind carried something faint, a sound not quite human, not quite animal. The woman rose and shut the door gently. She'll cry again. When? When he makes her. She doesn't need to be made. The woman touched the baby's brow. But someone will try. She pulled the quilt tighter over the baby. Not the one soaked in red. The clean one, the one without stitches. The stranger sat back. He's still watching. I know. How? I know what it feels like. The baby stirred, face tense, fists balled at her sides. She's dreaming, the stranger said. Number, she's remembering. She'll cry soon. The woman whispered without looking up. Let her. The hammering didn't come again that night, but the house stayed tense, quiet, like a held breath. When morning came, the woman opened the drawer, pulled the note back out. She traced each letter with her finger, slow. Then she opened a second drawer, took out an old envelope, blank. She slid the note inside, wrote one thing across the front, keep. Then she buried it behind the plates. You always save threats, only the true ones. The baby still hadn't cried, but her mouth opened just enough to let out a low sound, half breath, half ache. They both looked down. The woman smiled once, small. She's almost ready. The fire snapped for the first time in days. The woman didn't want to light it, but the baby's skin had gone cold to the touch. She fed the flame slowly, bark and dry pine, watching it take without protest. The stranger stayed seated by the wall, legs pulled close, arms locked around her knees, like if she let go, she'd vanish. The quilt sat folded on the table. The red one, the first one, the one they hadn't touched since the night she'd arrived. The woman looked over. You stitched my name in that thing. Yes. How? I didn't choose it. Then who did? The stranger didn't blink. The thread. You talk like it speaks. It remembers. The woman walked over, picked it up. Heavy. Damp in places still. The blood had settled in the corners, like it had tried to leave but couldn't find a way out. You gonna tell me what else is inside this? It's not a baby blanket. No. It's a body map. The woman stared at her. Say that again. It's a map. Of the ones they used. Of the ones they broke. What's sewn in here? Names, pieces, stories no one wanted to say out loud. I'm not afraid of stories. You should be afraid of this one. The woman didn't wait. She grabbed her shears from the drawer. I walked back, dropped the quilt flat on the floor. Sit beside me, she said. The stranger crawled closer, slow. You sure? No. The woman made the first cut at the seam. The fabric tore like it didn't want to. Threads pulled long, curled back in on themselves. Inside the lining, dark hair, bundled, tied with string. The woman froze. Whose is that? One of the girls. You knew her? I was her. She cut deeper. Another layer peeled back. A slip of paper fell out, brown with time. Ink smeared, but names still legible. Leanne, Martha, Elspeth, the same names she whispered. Do you remember them? I dream of them. The baby stirred in the corner. Not awake, not calm either. The woman reached in again, pulled out something small, hard. It hit the wood floor with a soft click. A tooth. She didn't touch it, just stared. What kind of woman carries this around? Not a woman. Then what are you? The stranger's voice dropped. A witness. To what? The work was done in silence. The woman stood up fast. You want this burned? The stranger didn't answer. I said, should I burn it? Half. Why? You destroy all of it. You forget all of it. I want to forget. But she can't. The woman looked at the baby, still unmoving in the crib. She doesn't know any of this. She knows all of it. Are you telling me she remembers before she was even born? The stranger stood too now. I'm telling you, she wasn't the first version of herself. You speak in riddles. I speak in grief. The woman grabbed the quilt. I walked to the hearth, laid it across the stone. Which half burns? The stitched side. The one with the names? Yes. She took the fire poker, dragged hot coals forward, pressed the quilt edge down until the blood hissed. It caught on fast. Flames licked up names one by one. Hair shriveled, paper curled. The tooth didn't burn, just blackened. The woman pulled the other half back with her boot, away from the fire. The burning side turned to ash slowly, like it knew it had waited long enough. The baby let out a soft, breathy cry. Just a gasp, but it cut through the room. She felt it, the stranger said. The woman knelt down, picked up the untouched half of the quilt. I folded it, smaller now, lighter. She placed it on the mantel. You want it back? No. Then why keep it? For when she asks. She won't. She will. Kids always do. The stranger looked at her, voice nearly breaking. Will you tell her the truth? The woman stared at the ashes. If I'm still here. The fire snapped again. The burned edge of the quilt was gone. Nothing but black flakes in the stone. The baby whimpered louder. Not pain, not hunger, just noise. The woman walked over, lifted her gently. She's warmer. She always is when something ends. The woman looked down at her, eyes open now. No blinking, no tears, just watching. She's looking through me. She's looking for you. Why? Because you didn't flinch. The woman rocked her once, then twice. Was this quilt made to be carried? No. Then what? To be found. Right before the next girl vanished, the woman held the baby tighter. Well, not this time. No. The stranger said, not this time. The fire flared once and spit. The woman leaned closer, poker in hand, watching a scrap of the quilt curl inward, blackening around the edges like it knew its time was up. She didn't touch it. Not yet. The baby slept. Again, hand tucked near her mouth, legs twitching like she was chasing something. The stranger sat against the far wall, knees to chest, silent. The woman shifted the poker. Embers rolled, popped. Then a piece lifted from the burn, just a corner of cloth, light and thin. It floated like ash, but didn't fall apart. She reached out, caught it between the tongs, brought it close. Burned thread, faded fabric. 5 letters, stitched bold. Her name, not the stranger's, not the baby's. Heron. She stared, breath caught. Behind her, the stranger whispered, I told you. You didn't tell me this. I stitched it before I knew you. Then how'd you get my name? I didn't choose it. Is that supposed to make it better? The woman rose, holding the cloth tight. You sewed my name into blood-soaked linen and brought it to my door. You want me to thank you for that? No. Then what do you want? To be done with it. The woman held the cloth over the fire. You think this belongs here? Yes. Why? Because that's where it came from. She lowered it in. The edges caught fast, curling, cracking. But the name, her name, didn't go easy. The thread glowed instead of breaking. The stranger stood now. It won't burn. Why not? Because it's not just thread. What is it? Promise. Does that mean something to you? It should mean something to you. The fire snapped again. The cloth crumbled inward, but her name still showed, glowing faint in the orange light. The baby stirred. The woman pulled the cloth back out, dropped it on the stone. The center still pulsed like it had breath. You want to start explaining? I saw your name before I knew how to write. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to. You dreamed it. Yes. Then what? I stitched it into every blanket I made. Why? Because someday one of them will find you. And what was I supposed to do when it did? Choose. Choose what? To stay, to fight, to finish what they started. The woman stepped back. I didn't start anything. Doesn't mean it didn't end with you. The baby whimpered again, barely awake. The woman bent down, held her finger to the child's hand. She needs rest, not more riddles. She needs you. She doesn't even know me. She knows enough. The stranger moved closer to the fire. I looked down at the half-burned cloth. That thread came from hair. Whose? Mine. Others. Yours. You braided my hair into this before I ever met you? I said it wasn't a choice. The woman sat on the floor, the heat of the fire crawling up her arms. You act like this is some ancient story. It ain't. It's now. It's mine. It's real. I know. So stop talking like a prophet. I'm not a prophet. Then what are you? The stranger looked down. A page. A what? They wrote to me, sewed into me, then passed me along. The woman leaned back. You're saying you're part of this quilt? I was the first one wrapped in it. The baby whimpered again. She knows that too. The stranger added. The woman looked toward the cloth again. The center of her name had stopped glowing, but it was still there. Dark thread, too stubborn to vanish. She grabbed it. I folded it once, set it on the mantel. She'll ask about it. Yes. You gonna be here when she does? No. You running? Waiting. For what? For the next name to burn. Who? Hi. The woman didn't ask who she meant. They both knew. The sheriff. Yes. He's still watching. He's always watching. He let this quilt pass through town. He let every girl pass through it. The woman stood again. He touched you? No. But he touched her. The stranger didn't answer. The baby opened her eyes. Wide, still, too knowing. She knows. The woman said softly. She remembers. The fire faded to ember. No more sparks. She's gonna speak? Not until it's safe. When will that be? When you finish it. Finish what? The pattern. The woman walked to the cupboard, pulled out the other half of the quilt. The part she didn't burn. She laid it flat on the floor. No names stitched, just symbols, shapes, strange marks along the seams. What's this? Map. To what? Where they kept the rest. The rest of who? The ones who never got to cry. The woman stared long, then folded it again, slower this time. She's going to grow up asking a lot of questions. She deserves answers. Then I better stay alive long enough to give 'em. The stranger didn't move. You gonna help me? No. Why not? You don't need help. You just need time. The woman turned to the mantel, stared at her name stitched in ash. Then I better use it right. She waited until the morning haze had burned off and the air smelled like ash and cold iron. The baby lay wrapped in plain cloth now, not stitched, not marked. The half-burned piece of quilt sat folded tight in her coat pocket. The stranger stood by the door, arms crossed, face blank. Are you sure you want to do this? No. Then why? Because it's not done with me. The stranger didn't argue, just nodded once, eyes flicking toward the tree line. The woman started walking. The well sat a quarter-mile off the back pasture. No one used it anymore. Water dried up decades ago, long before her time, but the stone remained. Cracked, uncovered, deep. She reached it just as the wind shifted. Leaves spun in lazy circles at the edge. The well looked smaller than she remembered, but hungrier somehow. She didn't hesitate, just pulled the cloth from her coat. Hold it up once more. The burned edge was stiff. The thread of her name is barely visible now, half gone, half fused into the fabric. She breathed out, then let it go. The cloth dropped in silence, turning as it fell. Then, sound. One echo. Sharp, then another. Lower, fainter. She stepped back. The second echo shouldn't have come. She waited. Nothing else. Just the well, still open. She turned. The baby screamed, not whimpering, not gasped. Screamed from the house. She ran, boots tearing across dry ground, breath punching out of her. The scream didn't stop. She threw the door open. The stranger was crouched by the cradle, not touching, not speaking. The baby shrieked like her ribs were breaking. She heard it. What? The second echo. She's never cried like that. She wasn't allowed to. The woman lifted her fast, held her close. Shh, it's all right. But the crying didn't stop. The stranger backed into the corner, arms shaking. She's remembering everything. Make it stop. I can't. Why not? Because I'm not supposed to. The woman rocked harder. The baby's screams came in bursts, sharp, angry. What did I do? You gave her a voice. I threw a piece of cloth down a hole. That cloth was holding her shut. The woman sank into the chair. She's hot. She's alive. The baby screamed louder. Help me. The stranger stepped forward, voice low. She needs to finish. Finish what? The scream. The baby arched in her arms. The woman whispered, I'm here. I've got you. Keep going. The stranger sank to the floor. She didn't rock, didn't speak, just stared. The crying filled the whole house. Windows shook. The chair creaked. The fire sputtered. Then, silence. The baby collapsed into sleep. So fast the woman gasped. She checked her pulse. Still steady, breathing. The stranger didn't move. You all right? She didn't answer. Say something. The woman stood, baby in one arm, walked over. The stranger's eyes were wide but unfocused. Can you hear me? I heard her. I did too. No. I really heard her. The woman crouched. She said your name. She didn't speak. She said it. What name? Yours. That's not possible. She called for you before she was born. The woman stood, backed away. You're not making sense. She screamed it. Then why didn't I hear it? Because you weren't ready. The woman placed the baby back in the cradle. She's quiet now. She won't be next time. There'll be a next time until it's finished. What's finished? The truth. The woman crossed her arms. That well echoed twice. It's not supposed to echo at all. It hasn't held sound in 20 years. Then it heard something that still lives. The baby let out one soft breath. No cry. Just sound. The woman turned to the window. You think it's in the ground? I think it never left. She walked back to the mantel, picked up the unburned half of the quilt. It's all here. The stranger didn't look up. Can I ask you something? Yes. Are you one of them? Yes. Then why are you still here? Because she pulled me back. The woman held the quilt like it was glass. What happens now? You decide if she grows up silent. The woman looked toward the cradle. Not a chance. The stranger nodded slow. Then the echoes end with you. The wind picked up again. This time it didn't go near the well. She saw him coming before she heard him. The dust trailed behind the sheriff's horse like breath from a sleeping dog. He didn't rush, just rode steady down the old path, eyes forward, one hand loose on the reins. She stayed on the porch, arms folded. The baby was asleep inside, belly full and mouth slack. The stranger hadn't spoken all morning, just stared out the window like waiting was her last job on earth. The sheriff stopped near the well, didn't look down into it, just adjusted his hat and swung one leg over, dropping to the ground slowly. You come to finish it? She asked. No. He reached inside his coat, pulled out a folded slip of paper, worn, creased like it had been read too many times. What's that? Answer. I didn't ask a question. He stepped forward and placed it on the porch railing. Still figured you'd want it. She didn't pick it up right away, just stared. Who wrote it? Town clerk, with help from the midwife. You forgot it? No. You twist anyone's arm? He looked at her then. Dead on. Don't need to twist what's already broken. She opened the paper, 2 names written in block ink, one scratched out, the other circled 3 times. Her name. The wind picked up, dry and sharp. She's yours now? He asked. She always was. He stepped up one more stair. She ain't mine. I didn't say she was. But she ain't yours either. She folded the paper, tucked it into her pocket like a receipt. She is now. He looked toward the door. Where's the other one? Gone quiet. Is she still breathing? She's not what you need to worry about. He rubbed his jaw. You know what it means, don't you? That name is on record. It means I claimed her. It means they'll trace it. You're a mark now. She leaned on the rail. Ain't the first time someone's come for me. You keep pretending this doesn't matter. It's gonna bite you hard. She screamed the day I dropped that quilt down the well. Do you think anything after that scares me? His face twitched, a memory passing through. I heard it, he said. What? That scream. I was halfway to the ridge. It hit the trees like thunder. She was telling the ground who she is. And who is that? A girl no man will silence again. He took off his hat, rolled it between his hands. You think this is about silence? It always is. He stepped up onto the porch fully now. I stood close. You think I hurt her? No. You think I let someone else do it? Yes. He nodded. And that makes me what? Exactly who you are. He sat on the edge of the porch, elbows on knees. Have you ever made a mistake so quiet you could still hear it breathing years later? She didn't answer. He looked up. I thought I was protecting something. You were, yourself. I didn't want it to get worse. It already was. She's not normal, he muttered. No, she's not. She doesn't blink like other kids. She's not a kid like other kids. She feels too much. Maybe you feel too little. He turned away. There's men coming who want her gone. Let 'em come. They don't ask. Neither do I. He pulled something else from his coat, a second slip of paper, smaller, yellowed. This one's for her. What is it? Birth trace. Not official, but close enough. She took it. Read the name. Not hers, not his. Just a string of letters she didn't recognize. Does this mean something? It's the name they planned to give her. Before she screamed, she stared at it. She'll never answer this. I know. He stood again. You gonna run now? She asked. I might ride. Same thing. He paused. I don't know what to do with guilt that doesn't die. You sit in it until it stains your boots. Then you keep walking. He looked toward the well. That place should have been sealed. Too late for that. The second echo, he said softly. Wasn't for the cloth. No, it was for me. She didn't speak. She'll remember this day, he said. She remembers all of them. He walked down the steps back toward his horse. If she ever asks about me, she won't. But if she does, she'll get the truth. And if that's not enough, she'll still carry it better than you ever did. He mounted the horse slowly. I looked down once more. She cries with purpose now. She always did. He nodded, then rode off without another word. She stood still until the dust settled. Then she went inside. The baby was awake, eyes wide, staring at the ceiling. She lifted her, held her close. You got men writing lies and leaving truths behind. You know what that means. The baby blinked slowly. It means you're bigger than their names. She tossed the paper into the fire. I watched it twist, curl, and smiled as it turned to ash. She couldn't sleep. Not with the baby finally quiet, not with the sheriff's voice still ringing in her ribs. The papers had burned fast, but the name stuck in her throat like a nail. The stranger hadn't come down from the attic, not since the scream, not since the well echoed twice. She hadn't spoken, just listened. The woman lit the lamp low. The house creaked under her bare feet. The baby stirred once, then settled. She stood at the center of the room and stared at the floor. There was a spot, an old board near the hearth. It had always rocked differently. Just a soft give when you stepped there. Not enough to notice unless you knew what you were feeling. She pulled the chair aside, knelt, ran her hand across the grain. "Are you hiding something?" she whispered. The knife from the sink came easy, not sharp enough for skin, but wood didn't argue. She wedged the blade into the seam and pried. It groaned, lifted. Underneath, dust, splinters, and, folded tight, like it had been waiting, was more of the quilt. Her breath stuck, not burned, not even stained. Perfect stitches, same fabric, same red thread curling along the edges like veins. She reached down, fingers trembling, lifted it. Heavy, warmer than it should have been. She spread it out across the bare floor. Symbols, not names. Shapes that felt too deliberate. Spirals, hooks, lines crossing in ways that formed eyes, doors, teeth, and inside the hem, something firm. She opened the edge, a tooth, small, yellowed, familiar. She dropped it. It clinked once on the floorboard. She checked again, deeper in the fold. A second tooth, larger, cracked near the root. She knew that one too. She ran her tongue along her back molars. Found the gap. I pulled that in the summer of '91. The voice behind her didn't startle her. The stranger stood in the doorway, eyes blank. "You stitched my tooth into this?" "No." "Then who did?" "The quilt did." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I've got." The woman stood, holding the fabric in both hands. "How long's this been here?" "Since before the baby screamed." "You knew it was under the floor." "I hoped it wasn't." She dropped it. It didn't make a sound. "You want to explain how my body ends up in your blanket?" "I didn't sew it." "But you brought it." "Number it found you." The woman stared at the symbols again. "What do they mean?" "Locations, events, memories that weren't supposed to stay." "You're saying this is a map." "I'm saying it's a confession." She knelt again, touched one stitched circle near the center. "Feels like bone." "It is." "What kind?" "Yours." She looked up, eyes sharp. "Are you saying I'm in more than just this house?" "You're in the whole pattern." The baby cried out once upstairs, short, sharp, then gone. The stranger didn't move. She ran her hands along the backing and felt a lump near the bottom, tore it open with her fingers. A slip of fabric fell out. Her handwriting, her name, stitched in her own thread. She stepped back, shaking. "I didn't sew this." "You did." "But not with memory." "Then with what?" "Fear." She pressed her back to the wall. "I want it out of my house." "You pull it out, it spreads." "What's it doing under my floor?" "Holding still." The baby cried again, louder. "Why now?" the woman asked. "Because she's listening again." "To what?" To the rest of the silence. She looked at the tooth on the floor. I picked it up. "Hold it tight." "What do I do with it?" "Keep it close." "Why?" "So you remember what was taken." She stared at the quilt, at the symbols. Someone meant to bury this, and someone else meant to dig it back up. The baby's cries grew steadier. The woman gathered the quilt in both hands and folded it slowly. Not out of fear, out of something deeper. Recognition. You knew it was mine. I didn't want it to be. You knew I'd find it. Yes. She stepped forward. Then tell me what comes next. The stranger's eyes flicked toward the stairs. She does. The cries turned soft again. Just breathe now. Just sound. She's not afraid anymore, the woman whispered. Number, but you should be. She didn't flinch. I've lived through worse. Not like this. She carried the folded quilt to the shelf, placed it above the fire, next to the name. I'm done hiding. Then you better start remembering. She turned. I already have. The scream tore through the rafters before the sun had even risen. Sharp, violent, not the baby's. The woman bolted upright, bare feet hitting the floorboards. The fire had long since died, but her chest felt warm. Another scream, then words. Full ones, fast, panicked. She wasn't born. She was marked. The woman climbed the attic ladder 2 rungs at a time. The stranger thrashed in the far corner, hair wild, arms flailing like she was trying to dig her way out of the air. They stitched her before she had skin. Hey, look at me! The stranger didn't hear her. Leanne, Mercy, June. They wrote it down. We were numbers before we were blood. The woman grabbed her shoulders. You're here. You're safe. She's not a child. She's asleep. She's a key. The words stopped everything. The attic went silent, but for the stranger's shaking breath. The woman crouched in front of her. A key to what? To end it. Ending what? All of it. The pattern. The line. Speak plain. The stranger's eyes blinked just once. Her voice dropped. She's not the next girl. She's the last one. The woman's blood felt slow in her veins. You said she was remembering. She remembers too much. Who made her this? They did. Who's they? The ones who stitched the first quilt, who buried names and called them offerings, the ones who made us sisters without choice. You're not making sense. They made us bleed in order, age, hair, bloodline. The baby's not new. She's all of us stitched into one. The woman stood. And what are you? I was just at the door. You brought her here. No, I opened. She came through. Through what? Through me. The woman's jaw tensed. You're saying she's not your daughter. I never said she was. You let me believe it. Let me believe it. She paced the attic, every board groaning underfoot. They told me to carry her. Said it would stop if I made it to the end of the line. What line? The bloodline, the pattern, the last woman they feared. The woman stared hard. Me? Yes. They fear me? You're the one who didn't fold, the one who burned the thread instead of burying it. The woman crossed her arms. Why now? Because the map's complete. You dug it up. You read it. You felt your own tooth stitched in. That was the last gate. The stranger leaned against the wall, chest heaving. I dreamed of this house for years. You never saw my face. I knew your fire. You said that before. Stop talking in riddles. They made me forget your face so I wouldn't try to warn you. They needed you to clean. The woman moved closer. You said her name once, before she cried. I didn't mean to. What was it? The stranger's mouth trembled. It's not a name. It's a command. What does it command? Return. Where? To the place where the silence started. The baby cried once, sharp. Downstairs. The woman didn't flinch. She hears us. She always did. The stranger pulled her knees to her chest. They bound us to her so we couldn't fight her. She's not some curse. She's a ledger. The woman grabbed her by the collar. Then what am I? You're the one who signs it shut. She let go. You said the quilt held a confession. It held more than that. It held you. Then why didn't I burn it all? Because she needed to cry. The baby wailed again, louder this time. The woman turned to the attic ladder. She needs me. She needs you to finish. The woman paused. You're not coming down? I can't. Why not? I'm the door. If I walk back through, it opens again. The woman gritted her teeth. I don't need mystics. I need answers. The stranger's voice cracked. Then listen closely. The baby isn't haunted. She is the haunting. She's the cry that never got heard. She's the last girl in the chain. The woman descended fast. The baby thrashed in the crib, eyes wide, not blinking. Her mouth opened, screaming like someone twice her age. The woman lifted her. "I'm here. I hear you." She held her close. The baby didn't stop. She's remembering. The stranger called from above. Number she's demanding. The baby's face turned to hers. Silent, suddenly. Eyes sharp. Present. "You know who I am," the woman whispered. The baby didn't blink. The woman sat by the fire, rocking her slow. "You're not a key. You're a choice. And I choose to hold you, not to pass you on, not to bury you, not to silence you." Upstairs, the stranger sobbed once. The fire hissed. And the baby, for the first time, smiled. The baby hadn't made a sound all morning. Just watched. Silent. Still. Her eyes tracked everything. The spoon. The fire. The creak of the floor. Not like a child learning. Like something older remembering. The woman stirred the pot slow, hand tight around the handle. She kept glancing at the girl in the cradle, half expecting her to blink out of existence. Upstairs, the stranger hadn't moved. Not since the night she screamed. Not since she called herself the door. "Are you hungry?" the woman asked softly. The baby blinked once. The woman brought the spoon closer. "We're past crying now, aren't we?" She offered a taste. The baby opened her mouth, but didn't eat. Just let the warmth sit on her tongue. Like it meant something. Like it was part of a ritual. The woman sat down beside her. "You remember fire. You remember silence. I need to know what else you carry." The baby reached for the edge of the quilt in the cradle. Not the old one. The clean one. Her fingers twisted the thread like she was checking for something. Then she looked up, straight into the woman's eyes. Her mouth opened, and she spoke. One word. Clear, sharp, cold. "Grant." The spoon dropped. The woman froze. "What did you say?" The baby didn't repeat it. The room held still. Not like fear, like recognition. "Say it again." The baby's lips stayed apart, but the sound was gone. The woman stood, slowly. "Grant," she whispered back. The name tasted like iron, not hers, not the baby's. "Hi." The sheriff's. The woman hadn't heard his name spoken in years. He'd buried it after the trial, after the last girl vanished. Now it floated in the air like smoke. "You heard it before," she said. "Didn't you?" The baby didn't blink. The voice that spoke the name didn't belong in her mouth. Too full. Too grown. The woman backed away from the cradle. She looked up toward the attic. "You said she was a key." Silence. "You said." She carried the memory. Nothing. She climbed the steps 2 at a time. The stranger was sitting in the corner again, knees drawn, hair damp with sweat. "She spoke," the woman said. The stranger didn't react. She said his name. The stranger closed her eyes. "It's starting. You told me she wouldn't speak until it was safe. I was wrong." She said it in a voice that wasn't hers. She opened the pattern. "I didn't ask for this." No one did. The woman crouched in front of her. Why his name? He made the first promise. What promise? That silence would stay buried. The woman stood again. "You left that part out." "I didn't know it would come back through her. She's just a child. She's the memory of every broken one." The woman turned fast, descended the ladder. The baby was still in the cradle, eyes wide, watching. "Grant," the woman whispered again. The baby's head tilted. "Who told you that name?" The baby touched the blanket. One finger traced a line across the hem. The woman pulled it back, inspected the seam. Thread pulled loose. She opened the edge. Inside, stitched in faint gray, was the name again. Grant. Not visible on the outside. Hidden, folded inward. She dropped it. The baby didn't flinch. The woman stepped outside, boots slamming the porch. The wind had picked up. Trees shivered. She looked toward the road. Empty. She cupped her hands to her mouth. "You hear that?" she yelled. Nothing. She turned back to the door. "You left your name behind." The baby's voice came again. From inside. "Grant." This time, softer. The woman stepped back inside. The baby wasn't looking at her. She was looking through her. "Where did you hear him?" The baby didn't answer. The woman dropped to her knees. "You're not supposed to carry this." The baby reached out, touched her cheek. "Then I will," the woman whispered. She rose, took the quilt. I walked to the hearth. She threw it in. It didn't catch right away. She grabbed the poker, pushed it down. The thread curled, the name smoked. "Grant," she said again. Not afraid. The flames swallowed the seam. The baby let out a small breath, like release, like something let go. The woman turned, picked her up, held her close. You're not the door. You're the one who shut it. She kissed her forehead. No more names unless you choose them. The baby touched her chest. The woman whispered, You'll have your own. And the fire behind them crackled once, then held still. She sat at the table with the paper laid flat and her hand hovering over it. Pen gripped too tight. The ink hadn't dried on the decision, but she already felt the name pressing into her spine. Not hers, not ever hers, but it would be now. Upstairs, the stranger slept, if you could call it that. Curled in the attic like the scream had wrung her dry. The baby sat on her hip, quiet as a folded sheet, one hand in her mouth, one resting flat against the woman's chest. You hear me? She asked softly. The baby blinked. I ain't pretending anymore. What's written doesn't matter, but what's carried does. She dipped the pen into the jar, tapped it twice, looked down at the line. She didn't write her name. She wrote this, Grant. Then below it, another, Etta Grant. The woman stared at it. That wasn't her name, not by birth, not by bond, but she signed it like it had always been. She folded the page, pressed the edge tight. The stranger's candle sat on the mantel, short, wide, ivory, wax already wept down the sides. She lit it. I watched it melt just enough. Then she sealed the fold. No crest, no mark, just heat and silence. The baby didn't make a sound. She tucked the letter into a cloth wrap, tied it shut. Then she walked to the cradle and laid the baby inside. You still hers? She asked. The baby didn't answer. She said you were the key, that she was the door. And me. I guess I'm the lock. The baby rolled once, face to the side. She stood for a long time, listening to the wind push through the trees. No riders, no boots on gravel. Not yet. But she knew he'd come. He always did after the burning. And he did. Late in the day, just before the light tipped into gold. His horse made no sound coming up the back trail. He didn't knock. She opened the door before he could raise a hand. You brought her out here, she said. His eyes narrowed. I brought a question. You gave her a name. Number I gave her your name. He didn't flinch. You want me to take her? I want you to know what she carries. He stepped inside, boots heavy. I looked around. I looked toward the crib. She speaks. She remembers. He moved closer. Will she say my name again? Number I said it to her. He looked at the bundle in her hand. What's that? Everything that matters. You expect me to read it? No. Then why write it? For the fire. In case she ever needs to burn it herself. He didn't touch it. I don't want her. She doesn't want you either. Then why this? She stepped forward, placed the letter in his coat pocket herself. So she knows someone gave you the truth and watched you choose. He looked down at the baby. She looks like none of us. She looks like all of us. You gonna keep her? No. He looked up, stunned. I'm going to carry her until she walks by herself. And then she chooses who she names. He stepped back. You took my name. I did. You forged it on paper. I burned it into my mouth. That won't protect her. Number, but it'll scare the ones who think she's still alone. He looked around the house, like he didn't recognize it anymore. What happened here? A scream. From her? From all of them. He touched the edge of the cradle. She stopped crying. She doesn't need to cry anymore. Why not? Because someone's finally listening. He looked back at her. You think this ends with paper and wax? No. You think this ends at all. I think it begins. He opened his mouth to speak again, but didn't. Just stared. Then he said it. You've got my name. I earned it. He nodded slow. Guess that makes me yours now. Number, it means I'm done being yours. He stepped out onto the porch, sunlight breaking across his back. You gonna raise her with the story or without it? With every piece. Even the parts that shame you. Especially those. He adjusted his coat. I looked down at the trail. Then good luck. She picked the baby up, held her tight. You hear that? She whispered. The baby pressed her forehead into her shoulder. He gave us luck. That's all men ever offer when they run. She turned back inside, closed the door. The candle burned low. The seal is still soft. She placed the bundle on the mantel, not to be opened, not yet, just to remind them both what names can do. And outside, the wind didn't pick up. It bowed. She dug through the morning. No shovel, just her hands and the iron spade her mother once used to plant corn that never grew. The ground fought her, hard and dry, but she didn't stop, didn't speak. The baby watched from a cradle of blankets near the porch, eyes wide, quiet as prayer. The stranger's body lay wrapped in what was left of the quilt, half burned, threadbare, but still holding shape. The stitching had faded. The symbols were almost gone, but the weight of it remained. She didn't leave a note, the woman said softly. No one answered. She didn't leave a name. The wind moved once across the tree branches above. Nothing else. The stranger had died in her sleep. No blood, no sound. Just gone. Eyes shut, knees curled toward her chest like she'd finally found the right way to fold herself back into silence. The woman lifted her slowly, carefully. The quilt sagged in the middle but didn't tear. The fabric knew how to carry weight. She laid her in the earth when the hole was deep enough to swallow a story. You were the door, she whispered, but you still stayed. She pressed her palm to the soil, cold, damp near the roots. The baby began to hum. It started soft, just a tone, a long note that rose without shape. The woman turned, startled. You singing? The baby didn't stop. She wasn't looking at anything, just rocking slowly in her nest of cloth, voice rolling like breath through pine. The woman's hands shook. She covered the grave in layers, dirt, leaves, one flat stone over the top. Then she stood. I'll remember her for both of us. The baby kept humming. The woman walked back to the porch, sat down beside her. You know what that is. The baby didn't answer. Sounds like something I forgot I knew. The song didn't change, just stayed even, soothing. The fire in the hearth had gone out overnight. She didn't relight it. I didn't need to. The house was warm enough. She picked up the baby, held her close. The humming stopped. The silence felt full now, not empty. She walked through the house slowly, letting her fingers graze every doorway, the crib, the attic ladder, the sealed letter on the mantel, everything in its place, nothing left unspoken. She sat down at the table, laid the baby across her knees. You've got no birth record, no family line, no claim but mine. The baby reached for the button on her collar. She laughed, low and tired. But you've got a name. She said it out loud. Not the sheriff's, not the old one from the seal. A new one. Quiet. Heron. The baby blinked. Does that sound good to you? She didn't expect an answer, but the baby made one. Just a soft exhale, deep and steady, like the ending of a song. The woman looked toward the field, toward the tree. The quilt was buried now, and with it, the names, the rituals, the map. She reached for the drawer, pulled out the only thing left from before, the piece of burned fabric, the one with her name stitched in. It had frayed around the edges, but the thread still held. She folded it, pressed it into a jar with wax, sealed it with her thumbprint, then placed it beside the sealed letter on the mantel. You don't need to read these, she said. The baby cooed. You just need to live past them. She stood, rocked her once more. The floor didn't creak anymore. The windows didn't shudder. The house had taken its breath back. The sheriff never returned. Neither did his papers. The tree stood taller than she remembered. Maybe it always had. That night, she sat by the empty hearth, baby on her chest. The flame stayed unlit. Still, the room felt full. The baby hummed again. The woman didn't recognize the tune, but her lips moved with it anyway. The girl grew quiet, not in the way that frightened folks, not like before. Her silence had a shape now, rhythm, a kind of hush that made you stop and listen. She was 5 when the humming turned into something more, not words, not songs, just a low sound she carried with her, down to the creek, through the rows of winter corn, into the rooms where shadows once lingered too long. The woman didn't call her by the old names. She never repeated the ones stitched into quilts or whispered in dreams. She called her child, sometimes little, sometimes nothing at all. But the girl always turned her head like she heard what the woman didn't say. They didn't leave the house much, not because they were hiding, but because everything they needed had already been buried in the yard. Once a letter came from the town office, sealed with red wax. The woman didn't open it. She fed it to the fire without reading the name scratched on the back. The girl watched it curl, said nothing. But that night, she walked into the kitchen, bare feet soft on the floor, and placed her palm over the mantel where the jar sat sealed with the old thread. "What do you want to know?" the woman asked. The girl didn't answer, just closed her eyes. The hum came again. This time, it carried a shape. The woman closed her eyes too. For a moment, they were in the same room, but also somewhere else, where the quilts had been made, where the promises were stitched into skin, where names were taken before breath. She opened her eyes. The girl had left the room. In the morning, the woman found her near the tree, not digging, just sitting, bare knees in the dirt, fingers pulling up wild grass one strand at a time. "She's still down there," the girl said. "She is. She doesn't talk anymore." She said what she needed. The girl stood. "Is that why she came to you?" "Yes." "So you could finish it?" "No." "So I could." The woman's breath caught. "You're not finished yet." "I know." They walked back together. The girl didn't hum again for days. She started asking questions instead. "Why does no one come here?" "They're afraid." "Of me?" "Of what you remind them of." "Of what?" "The women they forgot." The girl nodded like she already knew. She sat by the hearth each evening, drawing with charcoal on scrap wood. Not stick figures, not flowers. Shapes, eyes, spirals, hooks. The woman didn't stop her. One night, the girl pointed to a symbol she'd drawn tight in the corner of a board. "What's this one mean?" "It's the mark for silence." "What breaks it?" "Fire." "Do we have any left?" "Yes." The girl looked at the hearth, cold for months now. "Can I light it?" "Yes." The flame caught on the first strike, climbed steady like it knew the house again. The girl sat back, staring into the flame like it was speaking. "Does the sheriff still live?" she asked. "I don't know." "Would you tell me if you did?" "No." "Good." She slept by the fire that night, curled on the rug, humming again. The woman watched her from the rocker, said nothing. She was older now, but not taller. The years settled into her differently. One morning, the woman found her standing by the attic ladder. "Something up there?" "I think I'm ready to hear her voice again." "Are you sure?" "Number, but I want to." The woman nodded. "Then go." The girl climbed slowly. The air changed near the top, colder, still holding the shape of old breath. She didn't speak, just sat in the corner where the stranger once sat. Curled. She pressed her hand to the wall, closed her eyes. The hum returned, not loud, but full. Then she spoke. One word, her own name, not the one given, not the one circled on old town records, the one she pulled from the silence herself. The woman heard it downstairs and wept without shame, because that was the name they hadn't burned, the name no one could steal. And for the first time in a long time, the fire in the hearth didn't feel like a warning. It felt like a welcome.